Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
Boom. If you didn't know, now you know. We are back, and this is episode 37. 37. Here we go. I am Adam Bruno, certified financial fiduciary. With me, as always, the one, the only, the world's greatest co-host, the tall, leggy, wonderful Lauren Trolson.
Ahoy.
Ahoy. That's right. That's how you're supposed to answer the phone. Little treat, though, just in case all of you didn't know out there, Evolution's been getting a little busy lately. So I had a young man walk into my office from Fort Myers High School, and he will fondly be known from now on the podcast as the intern Caleb. Say hello.
How's it going, everyone?
That's right. He's here. Okay. So Caleb joins us because obviously the podcast has gotten much bigger. The company has grown quite a bit. We are Evolution Retirement Services, Evolution Wealth Management. We should be your number one spot for anything retirement, any question that you have, anything that you need help with, anything you've been struggling with. We are your source for that, and we will not charge you. You have a question? Call us, contact us, let us know. This podcast is for you. It's for Southwest Florida. Well, it's for the world now, right? I guess podcasts are all over the place.
Wide world. Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide. Okay, so this week in history, 1969, July 20th, the Apollo 11 astronauts made history this week. In 1969, when Neil Armstrong and Edwin Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to set foot on the moon. It's estimated over 500 million people around the world tuned in to the national broadcasts of the lunar landing. Wow, it's a long time ago, right?
Yes, it is.
1969. So my mom graduated high school. Mom, You're getting old, but good luck in your knee surgery tomorrow. 1975, the nation's consumer price index showed that the yearly inflation was running at 9%. But in some areas, such as the cost of food, inflation was increasing close to 1.5% per month. 1976, during the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal, the first perfect 10 ever recorded in Olympic gymnastics was achieved. Romania's 4'11", 88-pound Nadia Comaneci scored a perfect 10 on the women's uneven parallel bars. Good job, Nadia. Good stuff there. And I looked at that score and I said, what? But what do you have, Lauren?
I got a little say
what? That's right. Okay, give it to me.
Singer Adele bought a $58 million mansion from actor Sylvester Stallone last year. But the negotiation was held up over an iconic piece of decor. Adele was willing to walk away from the purchase if he didn't let her keep the Rocky statue overlooking the home's pool. The mortgage payment on the house that Rocky built is a reported $227,000 per month.
Wow. So funny story about this. You know how Kelly loves like the reality TV shows, right? So we always test drive a few of them. Well, I love Sylvester Stallone. Huge Sylvester Stallone fan. I'm a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, but I still believe that Sylvester Stallone was the better action star. Go ahead, shoot me for saying it, but that's what I believe. Anyway, they have this new reality show with Sylvester Stallone and his wife and his daughters. God help those poor young ladies, like, because he is a monster when it comes to it. He is all about. He's the classic Italian dad. Anyway, there's a reality show, and they were talking about how he's still upset that he lost the Rocky statue.
Oh
in
my
the sale.
Gosh!
Like Adele held everything up and said, "I'm not buying the house without
unless
the Rocky
I get the Rocky statue."
Oh my God! Like that was, and he still talks about it on the reality show. So that was interesting. I had no idea that she paid $58 million for the house. I just remember hearing, she wouldn't buy the house without the statue. You know, like it was just one of those things. Anyways, crazy what people will buy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What have you bought lately, Caleb? Anything?
Is in terms of not a Rocky statue, not a multi-million-dollar house with a $227,000 monthly payment.
Right. What about just something for fun? What was the last thing you bought?
Oh, well, I got 2 new suits.
Oh, this is why we love Caleb. Caleb, tell everybody this is also why we're not saying Caleb's last name. Tell everybody how old you are.
I'm 17 years old.
17 years old. This kid is one of the brightest kids I've ever met. And I met him working at a suit shop when I was purchasing some clothes. I met him there, and he was legitimately heads and tails. He was dressed better than the manager at the suit store. He wears this stuff to high school. I said, Caleb, you wear this out? Oh yeah, I wear it every day. You wear your suits to school, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's unbelievable. And he has not you told me this. You have not gotten beaten up once for wearing suits.
Not even once. No.
Nice. Nice. That's a big plus. Of course we had to hire him. I mean, how different is that, right? What 17-year-old kid wears a suit to school, knows as much as he does about the finance world. It's crazy. I love the kid. Anyway, so once again, Evolution Retirement Services, Evolution Wealth Management. You are listening to your number one source for anything retirement. Now, what you can do is you can go to taxfreefortmyers.com. You got to spell the whole thing out, right, Lauren? TAXFREEFORTMYERS.com. The copy of the book is on there, as well as some other updates on when we're having our latest workshops. And what do you got for that, Lauren?
I've got a couple of upcoming workshops. Monday, August 14th and Wednesday, August 16th. They both start at 11 a.m. at the Hilton Garden in Fort Myers, just right around the corner from our office, right on College and Summerlin. Then on Tuesday, August 22nd and Thursday, August 24th at the Estero Park and Recreation Center, which is, I believe, off Corkscrew Road.
Right.
In Estero.
It is. And it's a little bit of a further drive for us, but I always get excited when we get to go there.
Come on out, folks. Get some wisdom, some great wisdom from Adam Bruno himself.
I try and give pieces of wisdom, right? Yeah.
Pieces.
Yeah, pieces. I don't know if I'm not what you would call a wise man. I just got lucky enough to work in this space for years now and see everything repeat itself, all the obstacles, all the opportunities, they continue to repeat every year. But yes, you will get some very good pieces of wisdom. I'm hoping that happens. We also have a website that you can check out, evolutionretirementservices.com, evolutionretirementservices.com. There are 2 articles from Kiplinger that I wrote on that site, as well as a lot of other resources for you. First and foremost, all of those resources for you are absolutely no cost. I think you plug in your email address and you'll get an update when the newest podcast hits and the newest podcast rolls. Really have had a lot of listeners lately, a lot of questions. Wanted to take the opportunity right now to thank all of you, not just our families. Of course, thank you to our families that listen to this. We don't have clients, we have families, and they pass the word on. But thank you to everybody who had the courage to say, you know what, let's listen to what Adam and Lauren have to say. A lot of compliments lately, Lauren. Apparently, we're kind of funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we are a little funny.
That is not something, funny looking for me. I've got a face that only a podcast could love. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so we talk about current events. We talk about any advanced retirement planning. This is Caleb's first time, so he's jumping in a little bit here with us too. Mm-hmm. Lauren, what do you got for us today?
The U.S. is now facing a third inflation wave, economists explains. Increases in consumer prices have started to slow, but there are still factors keeping inflation elevated. Some economists say we've experienced 3 very different waves of inflation caused by different things, but it feels like one continuous period of inflation.
Wow. I guess that's true. It does feel like
it does feel continuous.
It has felt that way.
Yeah.
And you talk about inflation. You were brought up the eggs. When did you a couple podcasts ago? You brought up eggs.
Yeah.
It's like we've got all these chickens for chicken wings, but all of a sudden we've got a shortage of eggs.
Yep.
Like
and there was a chicken wing shortage not too long before that.
Was there really?
Yeah, prices went up drastically. I know there were a couple places in town, 10 chicken wings for $20. That's insane.
That's
people didn't even used to like to eat those. I know.
Buffalo made those.
Those famous. That's right.
I was just in Niagara Falls this weekend. I got to see some friends and family and throw a little retirement party for Father Bob, and it was great. We had a great time. But I took Kelly to the Anchor Bar because they have a branch in Niagara Falls now, and they have the original sauce still and everything. But they have the story. What I really loved about it, if you go in the location, they have the actual story of the invention of the chicken wing on the wall there.
Oh, that's cool.
So a little old Italian lady was late. Their kids came in from, one of the strips there. They were all hungry. All she had left was the wings from the chicken. So she deep fried them, threw some sauce on them, and that's the story. That's how it went, right? So, and then it's just a craze. So it was really interesting to see history like that. I know a lot of our listeners are a big fan of history, but I'm a fan of history as well. I like it when we illustrate that history as well. I like it when you put, if you're a restaurant, you put your story on the wall. I like that. I like to hear the story. I like to see how things started. So that was pretty neat. I knew the story, but I just couldn't believe, I took a picture of it too. I just couldn't believe that they had put it up for everybody. Of course, it's a tourist town now, right? Niagara Falls.
Right.
And I did walk around down by the falls.
I saw that. I saw some nice pictures.
Did you see the pictures? Yeah,
they were
pretty
nice.
good. Yeah. It's strange though, because when I was a kid, there were certain parts of the falls that you could kind of put your feet in the water, these little pools off the falls and everything. And now everything is just blocked off.
Wow.
There's no way to even get close to anything. And there's signs all over the place. Please stay on the pass. Please do this. Please do that. And I get it, but it's just like, wow. It's a big change from when I was growing up. So, the other thing about that, you said it was in consumer goods, the first wave.
Yes.
And it was demand led. So I guess my question is, how did we get to that place where it was, do you think COVID was kind of a little bit responsible for leading to some higher demand just because we got off track?
There was panic, people. I mean, look at the toilet paper crisis.
Oh God, I forgot about that.
That was insane. I mean, toilet papers, Clorox, any cleaning agents.
Gone.
I mean, it was gone. It was off the shelves. They disappeared. Yeah. And to get it, people were putting it on Amazon or eBay for like $100 for a two pack of toilet paper.
Good ply. It was just 2-ply.
Right. It was
crazy.
just Might
as well use a leaf.
And people were buying it.
Yeah.
Because they were desperate. Yeah. I mean, desperate times.
Yeah. Caleb, did you have toilet paper during the shortage? Were you okay?
You know what? My family was actually one of the few who did go ahead and take out some 4 or 5, as many as we could find from Costco, just buttload of toilet paper.
Literally,
buttload. A literal buttload. Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, that's good. Well, that's all right, Caleb. That's being prepared. That's being prepared. So. Yeah, so that was, you see something like inflation. The other thing that always comes up with inflation, and Lauren, I think you and I have talked about this before, but the real root of the inflation problem came down to, interest rates being artificially held down as long as they were, right? Now we see all of these increases, dramatic increases every quarter. There's 1 to 2 25 basis point hikes. But in 2008, when everything was horrible and the housing market collapsed, we artificially held those interest rates down, for as long as we could so that people still bought and still kept buying houses and goods and things like that. But, even in 2011, 2012, we could have said, okay, let's raise it a little bit, but nobody ever raised the interest rates. They just kept holding it down and holding it down. Then 2020 hits and it's like, okay, 2021, somewhere in that range. They're like, oh, well, we're not holding it down anymore. And boom, now we have this explosion of interest rates.
Yeah, you put enough pressure on something and you hold it down for that long. Eventually something's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's just, it's concerning. It's definitely, they say that it's starting to level off, but we're also in a period where we have an inverted yield curve right now, where the shorter term investments are paying more than the longer term, that's concerning when you see that. We don't know how long that's going to last. So, and then of course the market's recovering a little bit, which is nice. But that's what it's going to do. It's going to continue to correct and go down. And it's a wild time to be a retiree over the last 3 to 5 years. You went from the investments just keep climbing, life is looking great, to now all of a sudden, boom, we get smacked with all these issues, right? That was a good sound effect.
That was good.
Yeah, that was nice. Boom, got it. Okay. What else you got?
The second wave was supply-led and primarily caused by the energy shock as war broke out in Ukraine.
Well, I could see that. I mean, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And then the third wave of inflation, which we're currently in, is more profit-led. Some economists call this excuseflation or greedflation. And this
Why is that? Greedflation.
Well, Adam, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
You really just jumped the gun on
Sorry,
that.
I'm sorry. You get me all excited and worked up. I didn't know.
This refers to companies keeping prices higher for consumers, pointing to plausible economic reasons. Some say the higher prices are motivated by expanding profit margins. As consumers start to hold back on spending, it can force companies to reduce their prices.
Oh, you know what? That makes sense, right? We go through this period where there's this high demand, so now the expectation is set in a price that you're going to pay that's probably much higher than what we should be paying. And as long as we keep paying it,
you'll see it all the time.
Yeah, as long as we keep paying it, they're not going to change it.
Right.
That does make sense. And I think I did a spot for Fox 4 where they asked about that, specifically the grocery store, right? Like Publix and those places. It was so expensive. Is it going to tap her off at all? What we fail to realize is those companies took a hit as well. I mean, when they didn't have supply, they had to get it from somewhere, and now they have to pass that forward, right? Yep. But to your point, when do they start tapering those prices back down again to realistic levels?
Sure. Right? I mean, you see it during hurricane season all the time when prices go up on certain things.
Yeah. Water. $50 for a case of water.
Crazy.
Yeah. And people get away with it all the time. That's terrible. Okay. Well, that's good information. I mean, I guess it comes down to, how do we get these prices back down? As long as people are paying, then we're pretty much stuck, right? I remember reading an interesting article about the 1970s, and whoever wrote the article had said, he had a truck and it was a $8,000 truck in the 1970s. Now you want to go buy a truck and it was brand new. And now you want to go buy a truck and it's like, $60,000. Easy.
Base model.
Truck, right? I mean, it's crazy, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, are we ever going to get back to a point where trucks no, because now we're used to paying that much for the vehicles, right? So scary. I mean, it is kind of scary. So Yeah, that's good information. What else you got?
We've got a little join the conversations. Your questions matter.
Oh, Caleb, this was all you, huh?
Yes.
You picked out. So we gave Caleb 3 questions. We told him pick out 3 questions from the emails that have been coming in or the phone calls. By the way, if you want to email us your questions, it's info@evolutionretirementservices.com, or it could be Lauren@evolutionretirementservices.com. Kurt really likes questions. Kurt@evolutionretirementservices.com. You can also, I think you could submit them through the website as well.
Absolutely.
Submit them through the website, or it's evolutionretirementservices.com, or tax-free Fort Myers. You can submit your
questions. We also have you can text us. Our phone number, 239-771-8696. You can also do it on Facebook if you want to send us a message on Facebook.
Oh, did we checked those, right? We did check for this segment, and we tried to get back to everybody that had a question.
Yes.
So, okay. So Caleb, what did you pick out? I'm interested in this. Like, what did you find?
So the first one is, hi, Adam. I'm going to retire next spring. I was wondering how I can move my employer 401k plan into a Roth IRA to take advantage of the tax savings. What steps should I take?
That's a good one, Caleb. You picked a good one. This is a more technical question. So first of all, the first step you should always take is when you're looking at your Roth conversions, make sure that you're trying to keep within your own tax bracket. For example, if you're in the 22% tax bracket and you make, $90,000 a year, you have up until $190,000 before you cross into the 24% bracket. So try and keep those conversions. In other words, you have $100,000 worth of room to possibly do some conversions. If you do more than that, you're going to go into the 24% bracket. Even more scary than that, though, is if you're married, you have $194,000 of total income before your Medicare Part B premiums will increase dramatically. If it's $194,001, they're going to increase your Medicare you're going to be paying Medicare surcharges. If you're single, it's $97,000. So you need to be very careful with your numbers before you do any conversion. Feel free to reach out to us or contact a CPA. Very rare that you find a CPA that says, "Oh yeah, add $80,000 of income to your." It's not. They don't understand. They're trying to save you as much as they can that year, but. In how you do it, how you're able to do that. If you have a 401k, and it's not just a 401k, 403b, 457, thrift savings plan, whatever it might be, you have to roll the money first into an IRA, okay? Because you can only do a Roth conversion if the money is coming from a traditional IRA. So you can't do a conversion from your 401k or your 403b directly to the Roth. Has to be done from an IRA. One of the roadblocks that you might hit with that is if you're transferring out of a 401k and into your own self-directed IRA, you're not going to have access to the same investments. Well, you might not have access to the same investments that are offered in the 401k. You'll have to select different investments that are similar. So that is one roadblock why people are kind of hesitant to do it. But in most cases, you probably are going to save more money by investing in your own IRA, finding similar investments, because there is a cost of doing business in the 401k. You are paying fees and things like that inside the accounts that you're invested in. So in most cases, so that's how you do it. You have to actually move the 401k or 403b into a self-directed IRA. Now, one thing to remember about that is there are no tax consequences for that. It's still tax deferred. You're not paying taxes just by moving it into the IRA. You only pay taxes on what you transfer over to the Roth. Okay. But can't transfer it over to the Roth if it's not in an IRA first. So hopefully that answered your question out there. Lauren, did I miss anything there?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
I think the second question looks great.
Okay. What else you got there, Caleb?
All right. Hi, Adam. I'm selling our home now in Minnesota, which is not our primary residence since we live in Florida now. Am I stuck paying all the capital gains from the sale? Is there anything I can do?
That's a great question. So anytime you sell highly appreciated assets like a home that isn't your primary residence, you're subject to capital gains taxes, right? So if you're selling the house, you bought it for 120 and you sell the house for, $400,000, you've got $280,000. Did I do the math right on that? $280,000 worth of capital gains, just get added to your income that year. And not only that, once again, in this age range, if you are retired, you're adding that $280,000 to your income. So that means that that's going to significantly increase your income for the year, likely put you into that Medicare surcharge territory. Some of the things that successful families can do, you have to do it before you sell the property. There's a 1031 exchange where you can take the sale of the property, the money from the proceeds of the sale of the property, and buy another property. Maybe you want to buy a rental property or turn it into a rental property or something like that. There's also what's called a Delaware statutory trust. That allows you to move the money into the trust, and then that will reinvest in different. A lot of the times it's things like strip malls, things that you are a partial owner in and you receive, income from. Much if it was like a rental property, it's just you're not managing the property and you're invested with a couple other people. So that's a way that you can kind of put off those capital gains as well. Or you could actually use what's called an opportunity zone. And for some of our families, we'll use opportunity zone exchange traded funds. So let's say you made $500,000. You got $500,000 in capital gains. The opportunity zone was created by the federal government because they want people investing in an opportunity zone. And for that reason, you are deferring all of your capital gains. I think you get a 15% step up after the first 10 years, meaning you can step it up by 15, and then you get after 10 years, they completely waive any capital gains on those investments. You don't necessarily have to leave it in there for 10 years, but it does give you if you have $500,000 and you invest in the opportunity zone, it gives you the opportunity to kind of pull it out in pieces rather than the whole $500,000. So you defer the capital gains while it's in the opportunity zone, and then you take it out piece by piece, and then you pay the capital gains just on those pieces as you take it out. So those are some strategies that you can use. We actually have a whole team that we work with one of our partners that this is what they do. Highly appreciated assets. There's lots of different strategies. If you want more information on that, whoever asked that question, definitely call us. It's time sensitive. You can't do a lot of these things after you sell the property. It has to be done before you sell the property.
Could you, just asking, another question, could
asking
you,
for a friend?
asking for a friend, could you file an SSA 44 for that as well? Does that qualify as one of those 8 life events?
It does not usually. However, like this question that we just had, this person, if you're selling that property and you're retired in the same year, retirement is always a qualification for Form SSA 44. So it lets the Social Security Administration know this is a one-time thing. This is a life-changing event. So you're not going to be charged that extra money for your Medicare because you can prove to them that this isn't a normal situation. If they retired the same year that they sold the house, then yes. Anything that you do that year, pulling money out of an IRA, pulling money, whatever it is, capital gains, that is all considered your retirement year. So you're getting your affairs in order for retirement. Okay. So that's not the normal year that you
I just figured I'd ask.
Great point though. I mean, it is good. It's another way that you can kind of avoid that. And that's actually the question was, is there anything I can do? If you retired this year, then yes, you're golden. You don't have to worry about any of that. As far as you still have to worry about it for taxes, but you don't have to worry about your Medicare going up in that situation.
Which is great.
Yeah. So oddly enough, though, what's interesting is Sarasota, and we're in Fort Myers, so we're 2 hours south of Sarasota.
That's a huge opportunity.
Sarasota is filled with opportunity zones. One of our companies that we use, Bell Point, that Sarasota is, a lot of their stuff is through Sarasota because that's a huge opportunity zone right now, the way that it's growing. So don't think of opportunity zones as land in the middle of Alaska that they really want to develop. That's not what it is. It could be anywhere. It's just they need more services. They need more whatever it might be. So obviously there's good opportunity zones and there's bad opportunity zones. I love Alaska, but you probably don't want to invest your life savings in an opportunity zone in Alaska. It might take a little while to get a return on that investment, right? So what else you got, Caleb?
Hi, Adam. Love the show. I'm considering purchasing a new car. Is it better to take the money from my Roth? The car is $72,000 and my income with my husband is about $130,000. Thank you.
We love you too. They said they love the show. I love that. That's great. Normally we don't even get a nice compliment like that. It's just, hey, tell me.
Wonderful.
Which is fine. You can just ask your questions. We promised you didn't have to even talk to us. But okay, so one of the things that's concerning about this question, new car, want to spend the $72,000 on a new car. Obviously, they're looking at what interest rates are right now, because if it was 3 years ago, I would have just told you to finance the car because you might, get a 3% interest rate. You're going to do better in your investments with that money. But now if the interest rate's 6, 7, 8%, obviously that's not something you want to do. If you still somehow could get a 3% or less interest rate, I would still tell you the better way to do this would be to finance the car. And we have so many families that have built up their legacies and their wealth and everything else, and they're so used to having everything paid off that they don't even realize that they have a lot of leverage with their credit score, with their history. So, if you could find a really low interest rate, I would recommend doing it that way. If you can't, one of the things that concerns me is I think you said their income was how much per year, Caleb?
$130,000.
Okay, if that's your adjusted gross income, $130,000, what you're going to do is when you buy that car, if you take it out of your IRA, because I'm assuming she said, is better to take it from the Roth because it's tax free. So the reason that it's a consideration is because if they took it from an IRA and they add the $72,000 to their income, that does put them over the Medicare threshold. So this is where you have to be careful because now you're paying all the taxes on that, plus you're paying the taxes on the car. So the idea here is it's probably a combination of maybe both. You want to keep the income under $194,000. So you probably want to use some of that Roth money to offset that number. So you're not having an income of $200,000 or more, right? Or you could, do half and half if you wanted to. A lot of people say, well, why would you say spend the Roth? Well, the more you're going to pay a lot more in Medicare if you take that out it might only be for a year, but you have to kind of weigh it out. The Roth, if you're not taking and you're not draining your Roth to buy the car, you can still regrow it because the Roth is usually the last money you want to spend because everything you're making in there is tax free. It's all yours. You don't have to pay anything. But the reality is in a situation like this, you have to be very careful where you take the money from. So obviously the loan is out, unless they can get I don't know what kind of car it is. Maybe they can get a lease option for,
sure.
under what, if you can get a 3% interest rate, I would do it that way. But otherwise I would do a combination of probably some of the IRA money, some of the Roth money, just to keep ourselves under that $194,000 threshold. But yeah, great questions, Caleb. You did really good.
I like to pick out the nice ones.
Thank you. You did really well, I should say. I feel like you did really well, not really good, right? Really well. Yeah. The English major here. I should have noticed that earlier.
Well, thank you all for submitting your questions. We always invite all of our listeners to join the conversations by sending their own questions to info@evolutionretirementservices.com. Stay tuned for future episodes, y'all, where your questions might be featured and answered.
Yeah. Why don't we have a little bit of fun though, Caleb? Tell us what's going on your senior year. What do you got planned for your senior year of high school?
Getting out of high school as fast as possible, or at least trying to enjoy myself while doing it.
Yes, we've had this conversation. Lauren, I think you've told them to. Enjoy your senior year. You should get into a little trouble.
Enjoy it.
Maybe wear a sports coat one day instead of just a full suit senior year.
Wow.
Yeah, just a
Real
sports
casual,
jacket.
huh?
Real jeans, sports jacket and jeans, real casual. But you will let everybody know what your plans are, after you get out of here and you're out of this prison with us too. Like, what are you thinking in your future? What kind of what colleges are you looking at? That kind of thing.
Well, currently I'm trying to make sure that I have all my affairs in order. So getting all my essays and things done, IB requires a lot of little things. And if you don't get one of them, then you don't get your diploma on that. So I'm trying to make sure all of those things.
International Baccalaureate.
Yeah. To get that little fancy piece of paper. And then after that, I'm looking at colleges specifically in Southern Florida to kind of stay local. So FGCU, FIU, or FSU, just like all those colleges.
But just to be clear, you could apply at Harvard if you really wanted to.
I don't know about that, but
you're smart enough. I mean, the grades are pretty good too. Like you could apply anywhere you wanted. I mean, that's the reality, but you're deciding to stay local. And we've talked about this. Southwest Florida is really kind of a special place for you, you said, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's the climate, it's the people, it's the culture, and it's also just, a great opportunity zone.
Yes. And well, there you go. And I challenge you, if you know anybody like Caleb, go ahead and reach out to us because it's not going to happen. Caleb's like a 1 in a million kind of kid. It's unbelievable. I tell him all the time, I just got to shake his dad's hand. Like I hope my kids could turn out that well, right? So anyway, Caleb will be joining us intermittently throughout the year as we do the podcast. Listen, we want to leave you with, do not be afraid to reach out, give yourself some wisdom, ask your questions that you have. Don't be afraid to do that based on, well, they're going to try and sell me something or it's just a sales pitch. It's not. We don't want you to have any fear reaching out to us, telling us what your concerns are, what your thoughts are. There's probably nothing that you can ask us that we haven't heard. If that's true, though, if we haven't heard it before, we'll tell you. Because we're not afraid to tell you. So anyways, it's been a great time. Great episode, everyone. We look forward to seeing you all soon. We've got our quarterly event coming up soon.
Yes, we do.
I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. Until then, peace out, everybody. Say bye, guys.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.